Welcome to Robot Congress.
That's not the theme
You
song.
are here to hear us because you're sitting in those chairs.
Yeah. So
What's going on today? How are you feeling?
That guy's about to leave.
We are great.
All right, so thank you to the 5 people who showed up. This is what happens when you reschedule the panels, change the title, put it on a Sunday morning at 11:30 after everyone's been drinking for a week, and don't publish it anywhere other than my Twitter an hour ago.
That's fair. And the guidebook.
So who here has ever heard of Robot Congress, and who here is just for a legal panel? You can all talk. It's fine. All right, cool. So, so instead of doing an episode, let's just do a fun panel with Austin.
Let's do a fun panel with Austin. Well, let's
man.
give the premise of Robot Congress, though.
The idea behind Robot Congress was I own a law firm. I am Ryan Morrison, and I was going to teach my dumbest friend from high school a law every week. And Austin is my dumbest friend from high school. Say hello, Austin.
Hello, I'm friend.
Austin works at my law firm now, so does Noah. Hello. Noah is
water.
guest this week. But we have 4 microphones, so Jordan, you want to come talk? Yeah, come talk about board games.
All right, cool. So the idea behind Robot Congress, first of all, is that we have to issue a disclaimer at the top of every single thing. So do you have our disclaimer for us?
The things that are said in this panel are not legal because I'm here.
They're not legal advice. They're for informational purposes only, and your individual circumstances may almost always be different. So please consult a lawyer. We're not your lawyers yet.
And we do a podcast called Robot Congress, comes out every week. Again, apologies to all of you that we didn't actually put this anywhere. But I was throwing up in a toilet 20 minutes ago from drinking all night, so we did it.
Well, that's professional.
So this is going to be recorded and live. Despite the room, have a large listenership. So anybody who wants to talk and promote and plug stuff, let's do that too. Are any of you guys developers? Are any of you guys streamers? Awesome.
That guy's a developer for Twitch.
Ooh,
so
he needs promotion.
That's I've heard of Twitch.
Twitch, right? Wait, no.
This podcast is brought to you by Twitch.
Twitch. I think it's owned by Amazon.
That's right.
Yeah.
So Jordan is our other childhood friend.
Hello.
Designing his own board game.
Sure.
Yeah, you are.
Nominally, yeah.
It's the unlicensed Venture Brothers board game.
Yeah. I'm gonna work out the licensing when it's done because I'm allowed to do that, right? You just ask after you make something that's copyrighted.
Well, you could feel. I also answer legal questions. So
yes.
Austin. I only want Austin's answer.
So you can feel free to make that board game.
No.
And you can feel free to make that board game and that you can develop it.
If I don't sell it, it's
when
legal.
it comes time to selling it or even showing people that it exists, do not put it on the internet because that would be a mistake. So Jordan, I need you to stay in your basement and just make that game, and then you can invite me over and murder me instead of playing.
Perfect.
Oh, God.
Is that legal advice?
No, that's not legal advice.
Everything on this panel is legal advice.
That's all right. We've already given the disclaimer.
So real quick, just kind of as a little icebreaker thing, this is Jordan and Austin's first MAGFest.
First MAGFest, yeah,
It is.
woo!
What you guys think so far?
Oh man, did you know that you can do the Colossus noise? You go, I shouldn't do that here, but yeah, and then other people will do it, but nobody here.
Your internal monologue is
Peek behind the
fascinating.
curtain. That's how few people are here right now.
Jordan, what'd you think coming all the way from Chicago?
What's up?
What'd you think coming all the way from Chicago?
Oh, it was good. It's cool. I wanted to go to more music stuff, and next year I'm definitely going to do that. Like check out the club and the shows. But great energy.
And
A lot of cosplay.
Austin, why don't you describe to people listening what MAGFest is?
So MAGFest is a place where people get together and they dress up as their most fanciful inner selves and sometimes their outer selves, but also they get together and they put up little shrines, like shrines to Danny DeVito or shrines to old video games that nobody's ever heard of because they didn't have the chance to flower. And you really need to give things the chance to flower because otherwise they're just dead buds. And MAGFest is not a dead bud. It's a good soil place for things to grow.
Now describe what basketball is.
Basketball is when you take a ball, it's made of orange stuff, and you dribble it. Well, okay, so dribbling is when you bounce the ball. But you have to continuously bounce the ball. You can't stop bouncing the ball unless you stop moving your feet. And at that point, you move across certain white lines. There are people trying to stop you, but it's not like football. They're not tackling you. So you are, in fact, moving around people. It's a lot more.
White lines are football.
Well, white lines are. They don't have white lines on the court in the basketball field.
Oh my God.
And that's MAGFest.
And that's MAGFest. Yeah. So for real, is anyone in the audience a developer? What are you working on? You're what?
Web
Nice.
developer.
He's
So
working on sites.
He's working
and stuff.
on the web. No, it's
Yeah.
important because we all need the web. It's a big spider.
Okay. There, buddy. So,
That's true.
yeah, so one of the things that I thought we'd talk about today is kind of the questions that we've received across MAGFest that we hesitated to answer, when we were drinking earlier. And so we thought we'd save them for when we're extremely hungover and here. So one of the questions that we've gotten is kind of what is the CCPA that's coming out, and seeing if we can kind of explain how that's going to affect
That's
people.
what you're starting with?
I'm starting with CCPA. Are you ready for it?
Well, did you notice how every single app you use or website you use sent you an email the past couple of weeks like they did a year ago saying...
so much. You're so awesome. Oh, my God.
we have somebody bringing us coffee for those paying attention at home.
Oh, okay. All right. So I will
So,
coffee. I appreciate
so
it.
everyone sent you those privacy updates, and it happened a year ago with the GDPR for Europe. And can you shut the fuck up?
I don't know what this records.
So, well, it's just, you try answering a question, and I'll go, thank you.
Thank you so much for your answer.
So, thanks, bud. So every single app and basically any website, anything on the internet that tracks even an email address now has to follow very strict privacy laws that California put out. The CCPA is that. So you're going to see all the apps change overnight. And if you live in California or certain other jurisdictions, you're also going to see a pop-up on every website that says verbatim, do not track my data. And then they have to reprogram their website to give you the same exact user experience without tracking your data, which is a nightmare for most developers. Also, most people don't really know this even exists or haven't made... all the emails you're getting now were due October 1st, but you're seeing them all pop up the past few days, and it's a nightmare. The long story short, though, is it doesn't affect the users much. It's a lot of legislators trying to put the toothpaste back in the tube and say, we get our privacy back, when that's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's literally impossible at this point. But, so if you're a developer out there, if you're just kind of interested in why you're getting all these different kinds of things, it's because people have to comply with the CCPA now, and we're having to deal with it all over the place. Now, me being a Virginia attorney, I don't need to know anything about it, right, Morrison?
That's right. It doesn't. No, I'm kidding. So the internet, the internet's unfortunate because now when you said you're a
is
streamer, there's
unfortunate.
there's a lot of streamers at MAGFest, obviously. People who do anything online open themselves up to jurisdiction everywhere. If I can access your stream or your website or your product or your game from my location, I can sue you there.
Cambodia.
Cambodia for sure.
Yep.
Name another country.
Ukraine.
Nailed it. So
Djibouti.
so that's where, and that's why the CCPA is a nightmare because California is going to go around and just sue a lot of people. They just did it to YouTube, the FTC, for COPPA violations, and it's all going to overlay and intertwine, and going to see a lot of stuff.
So they're only one letter apart. Is CCPA like related to COPPA like a sister or like a stepsister?
They're not one letter apart. The
letters.
COPA.
COPPA.
Yeah, it's COPPA. COPA is about child pornography. So
Yeah.
Don't get that confused.
So there's a lot of
Different
things
law.
That
about
sounds important.
So the COPA is child pornography. COPPA is the Children Online Privacy Protection Act, which, if you're paying attention at home, again, you've been seeing a lot of hits on, for example, YouTube just settled COPPA, COPPA.
COPPA. I'm a get
I've heard
COPPA
it. I've heard
coffee.
it both ways.
No, COPA for real is the criminal law for child
Right,
pornography.
that's why
Yeah,
I
yeah.
made two P's
And
to
so
just separate them.
YouTube just had a settlement for COPA violations, wherein
COPA, stop doing that.
I can't help it.
COPPA.
All right, next question.
Copacabana.
Next question, and Jordan has to answer this one.
Oh, I'm still talking about COPPA.
No, move on.
Okay. So, so another question
You
that
already
we've
did that on
gotten
Thursday.
here is, what is the purpose of having an LLC when you're starting a business?
Jordan,
Jordan, what do you think?
I know what it stands for.
what does it stand for? I bet you
Limited
don't.
Liability Corporation.
Haha, it's not.
No?
It's limited liability company.
Company.
Oh,
Your
I would've
body.
gone with Jordan's answer too.
Corporation's a different entity, you fool.
Sorry. All this time I spent at law school. And by that I mean listening to Robot Congress.
That's right.
It's time spent.
Now, Austin, you have heard us talk about LLCs a lot
Yeah.
throughout the 200 episodes.
And I still thought it was corporation.
No, but so what? So what does an LLC do for you?
Essentially, if somebody wants to sue you, you say, that's not me. The company is me, but I'm not actually the company. The company's over there, go get it.
Would you say it limits your liability? Right?
That was actually relatively
Yeah,
coherent.
it's
Thank you.
shockingly accurate.
I'm not a morning person. It doesn't matter though.
So the limited liability company provides a liability shield between you and, bad things such as getting sued. So as long as you're observing all the formalities of a company, if you out there and, your company publishes copyrighted content, and Disney comes after you, as Disney does, because they own everything at this point.
Disney does as Disney do.
Exactly.
Wait, does Disney own Dudley Do right now?
No. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, so if you get sued, then they have to sue your company because you're publishing through your company.
Do you think Dudley Do Right is known by anyone under 30?
Well, thank you. Okay. Now, did you know about him before the movie that I didn't see? All right,
What?
thank you.
That movie's like from the 90s. Austin.
Yeah, right. I don't think anyone knows Dudley Do Right from the movie.
Was that Brendan Fraser?
That movie's
you,
from
Beck.
a long time
Wait,
ago.
That
Austin.
is Brendan Fraser.
That was-
It's one of his
no.
greatest masterpieces.
I love Brendan Fraser from The Mummy, and then after that, I just kind of.
but not Dudley Do Right, the movie you just brought up.
No.
All right, so bring us back.
Because we were just arguing about this because Universal Studios Islands of Adventure is getting rid of the Sunday newspaper comics zone. They're replacing it with Nintendo.
What?
Yeah, but Dudley Do Right is there, and I don't think that's my favorite ride. I don't think they're going to keep it because literally no one knows who that is.
Oh my God.
He has
Yeah.
a white horse, and he rescues Penny. Somebody? I don't know.
Let me ask you this, Ryan. Is there anything you can do about that from a legal standpoint?
Yeah, we can sue Canada.
Okay, cool.
Blame Canada.
Just
Canada
use a
are
Mountie-
attacking. They sent their moose
Mountaineer.
armies.
Yeah.
What are they called?
Mounties?
Mounties?
It's a Canadian Mountie.
Yeah.
They have the
But is
lovely
that short for
red.
Mountaineer? Has
Is
to
it?
be.
It's not short.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to say
That
it's not
person's
short for
from
anything, but I
Canada.
don't give accurate
They,
information.
they don't live on mountains. They are mounted on horses.
But fair. He is on mountains often.
Well,
and
you
the-
see.
All
them in
right,
the
all right,
background.
all right.
It's like
I'm-
saying he's a city man because you see cities in the background, or
I'm gonna-
railroads because he's on a
I'm going to
railroad.
pull the alley and rein us back in real quick. Shout out to Allie Rothman.
Allie's dead.
No,
the
she's not.
ride is a drop off a mountain, though.
Okay, anyways.
Anyway.
So LLCs, we typically do recommend that people get some form of entity protection. Coming back to the question.
Oh, there's a question.
Yes, there was. This is a panel.
No,
Where are
it's
we?
not.
And so we do recommend people typically do get some sort of LLC protection or corporation protection because if you do get sued because the entirety of, for example, streaming on Twitch, that job is illegal because you're, broadcasting copyrighted content. If one of those companies were to sue you, you want to have that kind of protection. Also, it's a really great way to have some awesome tax benefits if you're making enough money, but I'm not a tax lawyer.
No, and I can't do math. Does anyone in the audience have a question? Or otherwise Noah's going to keep going.
Yeah.
Please.
What?
I don't know, something about rats.
Austin, you ask a legal question now.
All right, so if
A real legal question.
All right, so if I were to have a limited liability corporation.
Company.
Wait, company.
Company.
All right, I'll get there. No, I won't. And I made a plush character that was not. So let's say his name was Pikamoo, right? But it was.
Okay.
He was. Yeah. So.
Pikamoo.
Yes. Now
Is
you
there a
might
cow
think,
theme?
Is there a cow theme? Yes, it's a
I'm
combination.
envisioning a Pokemon.
Think of a rat that is, let's say it's yellow and also white and black, and it has a tail, but the tail's a corkscrew like a pig because we're throwing you off here. Now Pikamoo does not have, it has a pig snout.
So when I asked if it's cow related, the answer was no.
No, we are going to provide Pikamoo with very subtle udders. So
The most important part of a cow.
I've
The
made,
subtlety.
I've made my Pikamoo plushie doll. Okay, I put it on the internet. I put it
I
up
think
on
there's
a
a lot of
website.
people at MAGFest who would enjoy buying one.
I put it up on a website for sale. Okay, but
Sure.
I didn't sell any. And then
That's so shocking.
and then Nintendo saw it and they came after me.
Nintendo would not come after you. The risk of them getting a headline involving Pikamoo is not worth their time.
You've answered my question in that there is a market for Pikamoo for people that underappreciate.
You
certain-
joke, or I guess we are joking about that, but the number one way to get away with copyright infringement is to get fucking weird with it. Like, if you look at Overwatch porn, it's
That's
one of the
not
most...
legal advice,
It's
by the way.
Overwatch porn is one of the most... Yeah,
No.
for sure. Overwatch porn's so popular, and you think Activision Blizzard's sitting there all day like, we can't keep going after this because eventually someone's
Yeah,
going to
they
notice
were for
it
like a
from
few
our-
minutes.
Well, no,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it gets people into Overwatch because they're scrolling through certain other videos that they're seeing. They get onto Overwatch and then they enjoy themselves. And I think what is this character? Why does she have purple skin? I want to know her backstory. She has a cool helmet with goggles on it.
And then you play Overwatch and there is no backstory.
Yeah.
And then somebody delivers a pizza with extra sausage.
You just have to read the comics, man.
I'm ready. That is...
Okay, so now we've spent 10 minutes talking about Overwatch
to answer your question, Pikamoo is fine because it's pornographic.
That's
subtle
not
utters.
legal advice.
Write it
But subtle
down.
utters are legal advice.
Yes, please take out your notepads. Jordan, your turn.
Okay. So here's something you guys don't really talk about because I know you're always in like the video game space.
Oh,
But looking at the
freaking real.
board game space for a minute.
Board games.
Board games are for people that don't know how to get the immediate gratification out of a video game.
Oh,
What
question
are you-
answered then. I'm
Weird.
gonna
Board games.
I don't
okay,
love board
so
games or
there's a
anything related
huge
to them.
kind of like I don't know if it's thriving, but whatever, big industry of game reviews, game like product
Right, yeah,
show
yeah.
off stuff like that. I think at this point for sure, it's seen almost 100% as advertising. Whenever people do that, what is the like sort of legal standing on like doing a video about an object? Does that become?
That's a really good question, and it's such a gray area line. I mean, so technically you're allowed to do reviews of things.
You're like,
allowed
I bought this physical item and I'm going to show you it.
Yeah, and even if you didn't buy, there's a million problems with that culture, the review culture, that could be legal problems that probably won't be.
Yes.
But the first one is just, the journalism exception, the review exception. You're allowed to do that.
Sure.
But I can't show you an entire movie and call it a review because you can, if I'm doing Mystery Science Theater 3000, that's not a review. They need a license to do those movies.
Yeah.
There's parody laws, et cetera. You can argue, but probably not because you can see the entire movie. If you watch Manos Hands of Fate on Mystery Science Theater, you don't need to then go watch Manos Hands of Fate without them. It's replaced that product. Those review videos don't really replace the product. And in fact, they can oftentimes get people to go buy the product.
Yeah.
Where it gets the most in trouble that I've seen is when they're doing those review videos because a company asked them to or sent them the product or
Yeah.
paid them to, and that's not disclosed. PewDiePie got fined
sure.
$1 gajillion because he was reviewing a game and he said it's the best game he ever played. Turned out he owned the game.
Yeah.
So there's that's not okay.
And the FTC will come a calling if you don't put #ad or #sponsored on your content when it's #ad or #sponsored.
Yeah. This podcast is brought to you by the FTC. #ad.
#ad.
But the reality
Not
is,
#ad.
the FTC is going after everyone, big, small, little, in between, Pikamoos, Pikachus. It doesn't matter, and it's scary nowadays.
Now, Ryan, I love board games dearly.
I know you do,
And
but you were just very mean about that.
I
for some reason.
also, in an adjacent category, even more dearly love my blessed tabletop RPGs. Now,
you do.
if I were to have, let's say, a
Is there
review
any
channel-
reason to play any class besides a fighter in Dungeons and Dragons?
yes,
'Cause there's
rogues
not.
are amazing.
Okay, well, no,
No, they're not. No, they're not.
All right, so you haven't
Warlocks?
played 5e. Okay, so I get it because you're accustomed to third edition. That's the last time
You just play a
seriously
fighter.
played.
You have the most health. You do the most damage. There's no taunt system, so the bad guy just kills you if you're a mage.
A fighter
Stupid.
can never cast the wish spell and alter the nature of reality.
Yeah, but he doesn't need to because he has the most health, so he'll just kill the wizard doing it.
Not if the wizard wishes that the
D&D
fighter was never even a baby.
D&D's a broken system.
So if I wanted to, let's say, do a review of a book, and I showed like every page of the book as I went through it, would I be in?
Oh, you would be in serious trouble.
But probably not, to
I
be
mean,
honest.
What if I went through and screen capped every
that's why
single
the
one of
law
those?
is- Well, that's why the law is fun because,
Yeah.
and I could argue about that because you're right. If you went through and screen capped the whole thing, you'd have the book for free.
You
But
write down the
but
laws.
Who the hell's going to do that?
Like
Well, no,
people
it-
like me who are cheap.
Yeah,
It's a popular thing to have a book open. You got the webcam or what your video capture device hanging out over your head. You just got your hands seen.
It's
in the
how
book,
like Leonard
and
French
you,
does
and
his,
you talk about them.
That's
legal
popular?
study reviews.
And you do this page.
He
turning
he blocked
motion.
me.
Doesn't turn pages this way,
he
but that's how
really?
you do
Yeah,
it.
of course he blocked
Oh
me.
man.
I bought him a drink and he blocked me.
That's how to get blocked most easiest is to.
But yeah, no.
find
So
somebody
if you were to
drink.
sit there and have a book open in front of you and just page through it, it's like
But you're reviewing
the
it.
monster manual or
Yeah.
something like that,
Yeah.
and you're reviewing it, you're going to get in so much trouble because if you put the entire book on YouTube. And I just literally screen cap and print that. I've got a binder now. That's the monster manual that I can just index.
It looks
and tab.
really, really bad.
Oh, Ryan, it's like you said.
Nah.
the
It might
replacement
look
for
really,
the-
really bad, but
I don't
it
think
works.
it's a replacement though.
If they show every page.
It can
Yeah.
easily serve as a
All right,
replacement.
so
I
if
would
I-
take that case
so
any
If
day.
anyone
Where's
does
the
that and you
line?
get sued, I'll represent you for free.
So where's the line? If you
I'll be
take
relying on that. So where's the line? Because like half the book is what's okay.
No, there is no line. That's the law.
Yeah,
That's why you pay us.
I don't pay you. You pay me.
So the idea, though, for real, though, is that you can review the book, you can show the art, you can show the book. As long as you're not getting into the substance or a huge part of the book, I'd say that that's the line.
How am I supposed to review the product without getting into the substance, sir?
Well, as long as you don't step by step read to me exactly how you create a rogue, the best class in D&D, then I think you'd be okay.
Hashtag thief, hashtag fast hands.
That's
What's
all I
up?
ever played. I don't play a fighter. I just think I always played a rogue. Just D&D is stupid.
You just
because
like
the
stealing
second-
things.
No, I just get jealous of the guy playing the fighter because he just wins
Well,
everything.
you know, there's non-D&D systems
There's
for that
so
kind of
okay.
stuff.
So, no, we're not getting into
My
this
favorite
because
is
I
Monster
feel
of the
so
Week.
strongly about it that there are so many other tabletop RPG systems that are not Dungeons and Dragons. But
they're all
Dungeons and
Dungeons and
Dragons,
Dragons.
I love
Some
you,
of them aren't.
and I will not be an angry person
He's
about
pressing
this.
my shoulder really hard.
It's
right now.
fine. We're all playing Dungeons and Dragons. It is everyone's second
there's no
favorite
difference.
system.
What's the
It's
between
first
Dungeons-
favorite system?
everyone has a different favorite system, but everyone can at least agree on 5e. But so everyone is mostly happy.
Gotcha.
The systems are so
13th
different.
Age.
Oh, 13th Age. Do you roll a D20 in that one?
There
for
are
all of
many
your
systems
things?
that are okay. Fine, Dungeon World is a non-D20 system.
Yeah, right.
There are many non-D20. In fact, Dungeons
And then all you need to do
Dragons
is
didn't
go out and
start
buy
as a
13
D20
D8s.
system. It
Cool.
started as a D. They had 3D6.
My favorite, as I said before, is Monster of the Week.
That's not a thing.
So Noah, actually,
Well,
is
how
that
do you
a
know
system?
everything?
I was unaware that that was a system. We should stop talking about tabletop RPGs because we could talk about that for forever.
We could, and I love you.
All right.
So
Anyway.
let's design a tabletop RPG and we'll copyright it.
I think we just did.
And no fighters allowed.
Call it Robot
that's what you
Congress.
should
Or
do.
we
You should
can call it No
copyright
Fighters
something
Allowed.
live on stage.
Well, this is copyrighted. So as we're recording this, it's fixed in a tangible medium.
But
and
Ryan,
it's
how are
And
we
that's why
getting
the
the
law's
papers
fun.
sent to the Copyright Office?
So
you don't need to do that.
it's
You
that-
can just mail it to yourself.
Well,
No,
this
that's
is-
not true. Okay, so Ryan just touched on a
I
really
heard it was
important
true,
thing.
though.
Ryan didn't touch on it. I did. I asked the question.
We
I'm
want-
moving things.
And this panel just touched on a really important thing, and I want to make sure you leave with some knowledge today. So copyright
No.
attaches when you have something that is fixed in a tangible medium of expression, which is a lot of legal gobbledygook for essentially if I draw a smiley face on a Post-it note, I have a copyrightable interest in that smiley face, right? Like he's doing right, or is this going to be a frowny face?
Oh, wait. Am I supposed to draw
Or is that a
something
butt?
No, am I supposed to draw something specific?
Oh, I don't know. He's drawing. That's Mickey Mouse. Stop. Anyways, so that's what a copyright is. For example, this is being recorded. Thank you all for being here. So we're going to have a copyrightable interest in this, but you could probably have it if you want. But you cannot just mail yourself your content and say that that is a
shockingly
copyright.
bad at art.
Really? You know, I was
don't think
born
that's true.
left-handed, and then a nice gentleman broke my arm when I was 5. That was cool.
Was it
No,
Morrison?
you fell off the monkey bar.
Yeah, because I was pulled off by another kid. I didn't realize that
was
was a
it Morrison?
game that you monkey bar up to somebody else while they're hanging on the monkey bars for dear life because they've never been on them before, and you wrap your
you
legs
see
around
this?
them,
Put this
their
on the
waist, and
big
you pull them
screen.
off, and they go falling, and they break their left arm.
Is that a
Not
Cthulhu?
left-armed anymore.
This is not a subtle udder. It's the size of his body.
The udder is what propels the body. It,
Is
it,
that
it
Peekaboo?
floats.
Is that Peekaboo?
This is
Yes,
Peekaboo.
yes.
He lost his eye in the war.
Full circle. Anyways, so.
Just stop, Noah.
I can't. I can't.
All right, so if I mail myself a copy of a cassette tape that has Robot Congress on it, that makes it copyrighted.
No, but it does serve to tell you when you created something, which is super helpful if you ever do get into copyright litigation. So, like, if somebody comes along and says, "Hey, I created that Robot Congress episode, word for word, verbatim, and I'm going to sue you over it," well,
No one
please,
wants this, Noah.
Nobody, they do.
No, I'm pretty sure that mail stamps don't have the date on them. How are they
No,
supposed to know
but
when?
if you,
It's literally called post-dated.
Yeah.
It's a.
Yeah.
it's a thing.
Are you telling me that those nice stamps that they stamp the stamp with are
I'm
in
his
fact
friend
dated?
from high school.
Yes.
Are you asking if the stamp? It's like the.
What's dated? Where's the date? That's what I want to know.
It's
I'm just
post-
asking
On
questions.
the little red part. Anyway, so it serves. If someone
Have
were
you
to sue
seen
us
mail?
and say they
No.
created
I've
it and we
received it.
mailed it, and our date's before theirs, we win, basically.
Oh, because you can prove existence.
Yeah, exactly. It existed before the date of that.
But
anyone
if you were a
prove
wizard
existence?
and you wished that the
Nobody's
tape
a
was
real
into existence
wizard.
earlier,
If
Unless
you were a
you-
wizard, you'd be dead because there's no taunt feature in D&D, and
you
the
could just
fighter
fly,
just wins.
and the fighter didn't think to bring us, bow or
There's
something.
a lot of taunt features in D&D if you know how to play the game.
Nah,
All right, there are
game's
several
stupid.
taunt features. So a taunt. What's a taunt? We can get into MMO.
It's when you hit one in WoW.
It's when you hit one. That depends on your key binding. A taunt is when you force the enemy to attack you. Now, in 5th edition D&D, there's no way to force somebody to attack you.
Hey, Ryan.
You can encourage them to do it.
Would you say that the rules of D&D are a form of law?
I would say that they
Yes.
apply.
Oh, okay. So this is still on topic. That's
I'm
great.
barred in New York, California, and D&D.
That's everywhere now.
I'm barred in
everywhere?
Virginia
The Dungeons
and
and
D&D.
Dragons, because it's the only role-playing game
Because it's
that
all
exists.
around us.
That's true.
Don't you dare
Thank
try
you
to
for
make another
agreeing.
one.
Oh my
It's
God.
copyrighted.
Well, it's like World of Warcraft. Every time another MMO comes out, WoW just steals the good features, and then the other company goes bankrupt. D&D does the same thing.
Okay, so that's the thing is that they all steal from each other because they're all there's that. Oh, so that actually is a very interesting idea. Is that like lots of game systems take the mechanics from other game systems? Is there an issue there? Because like frankly, sometimes they just steal the hell out of them. But like the way
You want to talk about it on mic? All right, fair enough.
Chinese company that basically ripped off Bang, the board game, the game word for word, wrote that mechanic for mechanic, wrote their own like instruction manual, and it rethemed it, I think, to be about the romance of the Three Kingdoms. They got sued in the U.S., and it was found that they could do it because they had not taken anything that was protectable.
Exactly right. So that's super important to remember. Game mechanic.
Yeah, mechanics can't be
Yeah,
copyrighted.
you cannot copyright a mechanic.
Yeah,
I always thought it was just goodwill.
If you copy the text out of someone's rule book, you're breaking the copyright on the
the
paper,
artistic display of
but
that
you
rule
can't
book,
you
right,
can't
yeah.
copyright a mechanic.
So
I was going
you're
to ask,
telling me that if a popular video game company made a promotional product for let's say a Dungeons and Dragons adventure and just ripped the text out word for word.
If they didn't
and
call
altered
it
a few
Dungeons and
words.
Dragons, you can get away with a lot of it.
if it was word for
Well-
word, then that would be
Right.
Do you remember?
Yeah,
Do you
and
remember
so-
when?
No, don't say that on mic.
I didn't say
Wait,
anything
what did
on mic.
Bethesda do?
Wait, I can or can't
Are
say
we?
it on mic.
We're too close to Bethesda.
Oh, okay.
talk about
We're
it here.
too close to Bethesda. Actually, I enjoy their products.
Anyways,
They're fantastic. This panel is brought to you by
Also by
Bethesda and
Bethesda.
ZeniMax Online.
So, but that's actually a really good point. There were some early copyright cases where, for example, somebody said, "Hey, I developed this thing called a phone book, and it's got everybody's names in it in alphabetical order." And somebody else said, "Oh, that's a great idea. I'm going to publish my own phone book."
Book of
And it was
phones.
everybody's name in alphabetical order with their phone numbers attached to it. And so the first company said, "Hey, that's my shtick," and sued. Turns out you can't copyright facts, guys. That's why people started adding sea monsters to maps so they can copyright them, because those are creative expression. However, where Antarctica is not, and the world is not flat.
And there be dragons. Also,
Does anyone
so-
here think the world's flat?
All right, no. So
well, they're too embarrassed to say it now.
I haven't seen any proof either way. I'm open to the conversation.
all right. So what's the difference between a phone book and a book of phones? Because they're basically the same thing, right?
One's a catalog for ordering phones, and the other one you can call people.
No, this is in ye ancient days before ye internet, and we're just talking about rotary phones and the phones that you make between two cups and a line of wire.
Yeah, so you could either buy the rotary phone or the two cups and the
Those
line
are the
of
two
wire, or
phones
you
in
can
your book,
call
Austin?
people.
Yeah, that was it. It was cups on wire, rotary phone, internet.
Yes, internet.
Thanks, Austin.
You're welcome.
And the first two are in ancient times.
All right, we have 1 minute left. Who wants to ask a question? We can do all the questions. There's 3. Hello, you go.
All right, person in the back, come up or just yell it. It's totally up to you. I'm
No,
not your
I
dad.
pointed here, and it's
He's
my
here to tell
fucking
us that we're out of
podcast, so
time.
you do it. Ask your question, sir.
Can
Yeah,
the mechanic be patented?
Oh my
The
God.
Namco thing,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, so there's quite a few actually game mechanics that are patented
What a good question.
throughout video games and board games. If you look at video games, what is the game where you would get like crazier throughout the game? The screen would shake, and you had to take
Eternal
Not
Darkness.
Paramount-
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, what was that?
No, Eternal Darkness, I
Yeah.
think, and
Yeah, it's-
that crazy meter is patented.
The
Yeah.
Namco loading screen mini games thing is one of the big ones.
Why does Jordan sound
There's
so excited on us?
because it's pretty famous. There's like 5 ones that have destroyed a lot of progress because patents destroy progress. It's a terrible system, but it incentivizes.
It makes a few people really rich,
Well,
so
it
it's okay.
incentivizes progress and then stops it. So
For 20 years at a time.
For
you know, it's a
20
race to cure
Unless it's
a
forever.
disease, and then whoever cures it, boom, they're insanely rich. But hey, they cured that disease. But then anyone who could have cured it better, faster, stronger has to stop working on it. It's a broken system, clearly.
I read on House that if you add aspirin to any sort of medical prescription, that it will refresh your patent for another 20 plus years.
Honestly, that's I'm not a patent attorney, but it is that level of stupid. So
Where is the
probably,
Right.
because patents are just there's a guy who patented. I can't say that word. That's why I didn't go into that area of law. He successfully got a patent for making toast, just to prove how broken and bad the patent system is.
That's
And he was
awesome.
granted a patent to make toast. So yeah,
A patent for sharks with freaking laser beams on their forehead.
exactly.
Yeah, but nobody's going to do that except for really creative people that are smart.
But anyway, the idea is you cannot protect game mechanics usually, but there are very rare exceptions that allow you to patent them. However, there's a Supreme Court case recently called Alice, if you want to Google it, that said, in layman's terms, software patents don't exist so much anymore. So Zynga famously had every patent in video games. They quite literally had a patent that said starting a video game with virtual currency, meaning if you played Final Fantasy and you had gold or whatever you get, you're infringing on Zynga's patent. It was crazy. So those are all pretty new.
Is there like an identifiable? I mean, I know the answer is always no to every situation, but like the Namco loading screen thing versus a cover mechanic.
Well, I don't think that
is one
loading
too
screen
vague?
would be granted today. I think.
Okay.
I think it was
It's expired now, so it was a while ago.
Right, and I think the
Yeah,
patent
the patent
office was
protection
granting.
rolled back a lot.
What are we
Well,
talking about? Namco loading screen.
They had a.
was
You
like
can play
Bejeweled, right?
No. You could. It was like you could play Space Invaders during the loading screen, and then they
Oh.
patented
Yeah.
that so nobody could do mini games during a loading.
So having
screen.
like an interactive loading screen, basically.
Yes.
Essentially,
Yeah.
something to kill time while it's loading.
Oh, yeah, no, I love it.
Which
but,
nobody's doing now that the patent's up. or
Yeah,
whatever.
and there's so many stupid patents. I mean, that's why a lot of phones changed from the swipe to unlock to up to unlock
yeah,
because
I
a
remember
company in Europe said they own the patent to swipe to unlock.
That's funny.
It's why your home button disappeared on most of your phones. It's crazy what is granted. So long story short, yes, it's insanely hard and difficult. I would say
And
Tetris.
costs a ton of money to do.
A patent's going to cost you about 20 grand.
20 to 50 sometimes.
Yeah, and so like Tetris doesn't technically have patents, but Tetris is the company that has most successfully started litigating and enforcing the look and feel of Tetris and arguing it the way you would a patent. So you see that happen a good bit. But
You really got
that's
to change up the tempo of the dropping blocks if you want.
no. If you do anything Tetris related, they go after you.
Well, no, but,
Yeah,
well,
they go to town.
yeah.
well, because like I imagine the tempo is important in Tetris. So if you're doing it, if you're doing a different game, that's not if it's Tetris, and you change up the tempo
And it's
of it.
just
and the
Oh, well, if it's Tetris,
Like
that's
just
okay.
falling
Yeah.
down.
Yeah. So
Rotate the tot.
the summary there is if you
That's better than
change
what I was
one letter in the title of a game, you can do whatever you want.
Write it down. Write it down.
All right, next question.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah. So, one of the things that I always caution people about is everybody says, "Hey, I'm afraid to work with a lawyer because I've heard that lawyers are really expensive." So,
mean.
one thing you need to know is that a lot of lawyers who are worth their salt will offer you a free consultation. I know our law firm does. We talk to you for free, help you figure out what your budget should be, what's within your budget, because a bankrupt client is not a client. It's somebody who's gone bankrupt, and we don't want to have that
But you
happen.
still have their money.
Right, but they don't keep coming back.
Once you get their money,
That's
you
why I'm
never
my
give it
lawyer
back.
friend on Twitter.
Are the Star Trek
So-
rules of acquisition copyrighted?
So, anyways,
Don't know those.
but there are a few
Yeah?
things you can do yourself.
All right.
One thing I will say is do not ever, I'm stealing your shtick, by the way.
I've never seen Star Trek.
Do not ever use
true. You've
LegalZoom.
only seen those movies
LegalZoom
that I
is
don't
terrible.
like.
Austin,
Sorry,
thank you. I'm answering a good
we
question.
have good audio now, so I
Yeah.
can just like move around the tracks.
The Star
Well, then
Trek
stop.
movies are not awful.
So what I will
They're
say is do not
they're
ever
fast,
use-
action-paced adventures.
They're not bad movies.
Morrison!
They're just bad Star Trek movies. Okay, you can finish.
I think
and
what
then we'll
Noah's
get on
trying to
Star
say is
Jordan!
LegalZoom is great.
Yeah.
Trek. Okay, no. I feel like
Okay.
it's important to answer the actual question.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Sort
but
of.
It's,
Well, the
yeah.
podcast is usually just Austin and myself and my other partner, Allison Rothman.
I'm his partner.
No, I didn't mean it that way. You're barely an employee.
Let's spend the next 20 minutes defining partner.
well,
All the
Austin's
different
my
things.
life
Okay,
partner,
okay,
but
okay.
Allie's my law firm partner.
So yes, the podcast is like this. Noah, what can people do when they don't have a lot of money,
But that's
they
why-
don't want to
that's
have
why Noah-
negative money because
Thank
their
you.
house is taken from them?
I would say the podcast is normally like this without Noah trying to answer questions.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but the answer is
not
we
a
can help you
call-in
work
show.
through that kind of budget stuff, help you figure out where you need to do things, where you don't necessarily need to do them right now. And but I would never go forward using LegalZoom or Rocket Lawyer or any of those kind of services because they're shit. And
Yeah, if you use LegalZoom, you'll probably go to jail.
yeah, you could. That's not true. That might be true.
It's not true, but he wants you to feel like it's true because, frankly, you might try to do it and then you will be unhappy.
If you spend $400,
LegalZoom doesn't have the balls to
you'll
sue me
spend
'cause they know I'm
$4,000
right.
Having
They
us
suck.
fix it later.
Oh, they don't want to lose
So.
that case in court because it'll prove they suck.
Yeah, but the real answer and summary is we've worked with over 10,000 indie studios at this point.
is that the summary?
And we've done so much that is similar for them, where your specific circumstances will always change your specific advice.
I love
but we have a checklist for things you should look at. It's form a company, trademark your game name, trademark your studio name, get a contractor agreement if you're working with contractors, because if you pay an artist 10 grand for art and he gives you that art without a contract, that contractor owns it. He didn't assign ownership.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
give
There
an
have been
NDA.
some bad scenes where
and then
games got taken down.
They get
because
taken
they have
hostage.
No art.
Yeah, the artist sees a game start to be successful. He talks to a lawyer, realizes he still owns everything, and then he comes back and says, "Give me 50% of the revenue, or take the game down."
Yeah, that happened a couple of years.
It
All
happened
those
a couple
visuals,
years
those lovely things that I made for you, I own them.
Yeah, and then the
Yeah.
last two
And
things.
you paid me too.
The last two things are terms of service and privacy policy, and that list is what you should use a lawyer for. The other things like copyrighting your game when it's done, an NDA, there's things like that you can get a good boilerplate one online if you are with a budget. If you can go to the copyright office and for sure figure out how to file a copyright. It's not that hard. A trademark though, always use an attorney for it. It has about a 5% success rate without an attorney, and it has about an 80 to 85% rate with even a bad attorney.
Ryan, I've heard that I can just take the EULA, the End User License Agreement from World of Warcraft, and I can just paste that onto my video
Just
game.
use the iTunes one.
Yeah, for sure. That's right.
That's also not legal advice.
No, I'm kidding. No, but for real, so that happens a lot. I can't
Yeah.
tell you how many indie games you go into their terms of service and they didn't hit Control F properly,
Yeah.
and it still says Disney throughout half of it.
Or like they have to go to
High
court in
hopes.
Orlando. So
Yeah,
it's
and then
ridiculous.
Yeah, and then if your terms of service is over too broad or too narrow, it's not going to protect you properly. And even worse, with GDPR in Europe and CCPA in California, if your privacy policy isn't actually disclosing what you're tracking, or it's disclosing things you're not tracking, you're not in a good place.
Yeah.
And you could get fined and then go to jail, just as if you use LegalZoom to start with.
And now, on the other hand, if you're a streamer, that list, we recommend having an LLC, getting your LLC locked up, getting your trademark locked up, and also getting an independent contractor agreement so that you own your emotes and stuff like that too. So
Or just fuck it, man. You're never gonna get sued. Just do
no,
That is
We
legal
represent-
advice.
That's literally not true.
like it's like getting audited. Like who gets audited? Just don't pay your taxes.
That's not legal advice either.
There's no way you're gonna get audited. There's like 300 million people in this
Morrison,
country.
when you get disbarred-
getting audited, come on.
Yeah, I mean, roll the dice
When
and
you
get a
get-
critical hit and get taken away
No.
into jail.
This is going to get published, and you're going to get disbarred, and it's going to be Downs and Rothman.
Me get disbarred? Come on. What's the chances of that? There's like 1,000 attorneys.
All right, that's true.
Wait,
So,
no-
so as I see it in
1,000.
the legal atmosphere is that the good news is that things are getting more civilized. We're entering a more civilized age of people being able to protect their content.
Yeah, because it used to be the Wild Wild West,
But
right,
on the
Morrison?
damn it, you took my wild West. I was
Austin,
just
your
gonna
nails
go
are
there.
so nicely manicured.
Thank you. I do not go to a person
That's
that does
home
them
done?
frequently. Oh yes, it's
I think-
home done. Everyone can take
This is
my
good
nail
podcast
advice.
content.
Just make sure that
It's
you
true.
clip them occasionally. That's
Yeah.
that's you can pay
I
for that.
bite
I think
mine.
we had another question. What is it?
Please try to keep it about Austin's nails.
You guys recording the panel or creating the panel, MAGFest is recording the panel. Who wants to comment?
So that's fun.
Ooh.
Well, it's. I mean, quite simply, MAGFest does outside of. They are the ones creating the work there, but they can't go distribute it because it's our copyright of what we're saying and doing. They would own the recording unless there's a contract or agreement in place saying vice versa. Not that. But that's why. So I said this on the other panel, but it's worth repeating all the time. Up until 1993. Intellectual property was not something anyone in this room would be talking about. It
Right.
was insanely expensive. It was something that only the richest of the rich had time to care about. Are you just chugging milk? That's incredible.
I'm so proud of you. Don't milk shame him.
I'm not milk
No,
shaming.
I think it was a genuine question, but now he feels bad.
Like I think it's probably just like a Kahlua in there.
Not anymore.
But anyway, so
It's just straight vodka.
So
All right, it's not milk.
But around the time that the internet got popularized, everyone started realizing that, hey, this stuff's pretty easy to steal. And that's when intellectual property started getting way more popularized in all of our conversations.
Right.
Also, if you go back to the 80s, no one in this room would be designing games. No one in this room would be doing anything similar. that's an unfair statement, but you know what I mean. Making a game now is something you can do without a budget. You can do it by yourself. And as a result, people started caring about their own works because, hey, I might be an indie developer with no budget. I put this online, and now everyone is just stealing it. I'm not getting any money for it. What the hell? Now that person had to start caring about copyrights instead of just Sony caring. So intellectual property, and even when I went to law school not so long ago, they said, that is the land of kings. There's very few people doing any kind of intellectual property lawsuits or enforcement or anything else.
Unless they're Disney and
unless they're insanely successful.
Nintendo.
So that's a really roundabout way of saying that simple questions like that are still being figured out on what's fair. Even what I said before about contractors isn't necessarily true, because there's some jurisdictions that are trying to kind of reinterpret the law and say that if you paid somebody for 10 grand and he gave you art, you paid somebody money, he gives you asset, and that is the exchange. Judges are starting to say anyone in that situation would assume and believe that was, I'm purchasing this, not I'm getting a license to this that you can take back.
But that's not the norm.
It's not the norm, and that's the problem. I mean, but we're looking at laws written for newspapers to try to control this industry, and it's really difficult. The beauty of judges, though, and our legal system is that the laws are written, and then they are interpreted and reinterpreted and re-examined by judges. The problem is when you have a Nazi lunatic fucking scumbag putting all the judges in place.
You feel strongly about something.
Trump. But for real, I mean, you can unfollow me after this. I do this once a week and lose half my
Most of these people
followers.
haven't followed you yet. So.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter. But I mean, real talk, Republicans are destroying this progress because they keep putting in anti-science, anti-technology judges. Those judges can't work their emails, so when they come in and they try to figure out anything.
But can they work Hillary's emails?
Okay.
Well, what about the emails? But for real, I mean, it's a real problem. So there's a lot of attorneys in the tech space that are advocating for a separate Supreme Court for just technology cases. It's never going to happen.
No, it will. They can all be linked up by brain.
Yeah, it would be awesome.
Yes, and they just have lights. They don't even talk. Just the head one talks.
But like Ruth Bader Ginsburg's the good one. We love her. But even she has no idea what Napster is. She's still catching up on that, let alone all the stuff going on today.
She'll get
She'll get there.
Eventually.
But that's why I really think we're going to need to see intellectual property looked at from a different group or a younger group or whatever
that's
it might
exactly
A
what's
completely
happening with the-
reformative look at that. We need to completely overhaul that system because it's completely outdated.
Yeah,
we
before
made
healthcare.
great. That's funny.
But
we
one
made
la-
huge strides last year when they passed the Music Modernization Act, which changed a lot of the ways that music is licensed. Unfortunately, it didn't affect the ones that we care about a lot in the gaming industry with synchronization licensing. But that might be coming down the pipeline soon.
What was the music thing?
No.
No?
That's an
That's
hour.
too big.
We're not doing that.
But it
But
Oh, you're welcome. I was genuinely curious for a moment.
I will say that if you guys are interested in intellectual property, tech, and politics and how they all overlap, there's a Senator, Ron Wyden, that I don't even know his politics outside of technology. I
Not
just know
sponsored.
he is the most tech-savvy, awesome legislator out there. So follow his Twitter, read his stuff, whatever. But he's been, seriously, for 20 years, he's been at the forefront of trying to rewrite technology law to make it make sense. And I don't agree with all of his assessments or judgments, but at least he's there trying to do it, and it's really interesting.
And if
really
it comes
hope
out
his
tomorrow
politics are
that he
positive.
was another Kevin Spacey, we're going to edit
He's
this
going to
part
get
out.
milkshake ducks.
Why would you jump there?
Because it was right there.
I miss what happened to Kevin Spacey. That's okay. I barely know who he is.
Oh my gosh.
He's not that famous.
All right.
For anything.
All right, but now we actually do have 15 minutes left. So are there any other questions before I do the last bit?
Literally
Please,
anything.
welcome. All right, yeah, go.
I couldn't imagine, I'm a lawyer myself, I couldn't imagine making my social life and my professional life merge together like you are. How do you do that?
So the question is,
How do you balance
we
work and
have a
family?
relationship with each other that does not?
Well,
And also Morrison is Morrison. Like, he is a video game attorney. That's who he is. And I am my lawyer friend. That is part of our personalities.
Noah,
I think
who
that's
am
the
I?
question. Jean Valjean.
no, it's
There you go.
yeah, no, but really, it's a difficult line to walk, and it's a question I was actually talking about last night. You know, this persona, which is not far off from who I am, that is my Twitter and everything else. You know, that helped grow a law firm, grow a base, grow a brand, but then it also prevents from getting to go sign the Sonys and the people like that.
Yeah.
We work with the employees there and the people being signed there. But we are very loudmouth advocates for the struggling people in this industry, the people being ripped off and things like that. And as a result, I'm going to be driving a Kia longer than most other attorneys.
Yeah.
But that's okay. I come from very little. I'm very thankful for all I have. And that walking that line between what's okay to say on Twitter versus what's okay to say on Twitter as a law firm owner was never hard for me. It became difficult when I started having employees. Because now I have 40 people between both my companies that rely on me not saying something stupid so that they get a salary.
He deletes a lot of tweets.
Feel
Delete a lot of
the
tweets.
weight of responsibility.
But that is the hardest part, and that's when the line had to start being walked more. But you see this throughout all walks of life now. I mean, there is not an industry where there's not somebody blurring that line between what
Right.
I mean, despite what I just said about Trump, he did that. I mean, he made politics and his personal rants the same thing and built the base that way. It's kind of like the Force, except I hope more
It
people are
flows
on the
in and
light
with
side
you.
than use it for evil. But that ability to just blur those lines and walk it is fun, and I love it, but also incredibly terrifying.
And kind of a different perspective on that is I came in being a lawyer, not, I was interested in this field. I wanted to be part of this. And I had a friend who might be in this audience right now that said, hey, I want you to be my little Ryan Morrison. And so I decided, hey, I've got to be this persona. And I couldn't think about, okay, what will stand out? Video game attorney is taken. And so I said, well, what is genuine to me? And that's, I have never met a stranger. I'm a friend. So my lawyer friend became the brand. And so because everybody's saying, oh, hey, that's Noah. He's my lawyer friend. And so it worked out. And it just became an extension of what was already there. So
And Austin just doesn't leave the house.
Austin doesn't leave the house.
It's an advantage in that I don't have to worry about melanoma.
And other people.
That's right. Yeah. So any other yeah.
Robot Congress.
Robot Congress.
Hello and welcome to Robot Congress. I am Ryan Morrison. This is my good friend
That's not-
Austin Hoffman,
that's not right.
as well as Jordan Peele and Key.
I am not Jordan Peele.
And rate it 5 stars, please, or leave.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. Yes.
Uber rules.
Oh my God, where to start? I mean, listen, I'll be real with you guys.
Owning a Kia.
We're gonna edit this part out, but I'll be real about it. The biggest problem was H3H3. Does anyone in this room know H3H3? They're one of the most popular YouTubers around. So Ethan was legitimately probably my best friend in New York. Ethan Klein, the person who ran that channel. He got, this is all very public or I wouldn't be talking about it. He got,
Cut this.
yeah, he got DMCA takedown, and when that happens, you can counter it. But when you counter a DMCA, you're rolling the dice. You're saying you have to sue me to keep it down. And the person he was making fun of in the video decided to sue him. So this could have been settled probably. There's always that avenue. But instead, Ethan and I hyped each other up that this is an opportunity to fight for free speech on the internet and make some real good changes and maybe some good case law. And we decided to fight this. What we didn't foresee properly enough is how stressful not only being sued is, it's the worst thing on the planet. No one is happy in a lawsuit. It is day and night all you're thinking about, consuming your entire world. But throughout all of that, also the entire internet scrutinizing every decision Ethan made, every decision I made. At the same time, a GoFundMe was launched. We made $600,000, I think, that we immediately didn't want to spend. I certainly wasn't charging him anything close to that as his attorney. And we started together the Fair Use Protection Act, FUPA. Haha. But we did that. We were going to go around and people in circumstances like Ethan, we were going to go help with my law firm and defend them. Unfortunately, because of all the stress and because of everything else, Ethan and I stopped being friendly, stopped all of the above, and he went to another law firm. FUPA died on its face, and all of the money Ethan got in that GoFundMe went to that new law firm that was charging that much. Thankfully, Ethan won the case. It's all very public. You can go Google his video on this. The only thing that's not public is our relationship, which he's been very respectful about, and I am also. I still think Ethan's a great guy. It's just being sued is terrible.
Yeah.
I truly wish him and Ela nothing but the best. But In terms of mistakes, yeah, taking on the world and industry changing biggest fair use case in the history of the internet by myself when I was an attorney for 2 years with my best drinking buddy probably wasn't the best play. So that's probably the honest answer.
That got real.
Yeah, that got real.
I didn't really expect you to give the real answer. That's yeah.
Well, and then the other thing is just doing anything with Austin.
Yeah.
Yay! That's the one we can keep.
And on the other hand, for me, it's not that deep at all. But
Mine's less
but
interesting.
I will tell you that Morrison has taught me a lot since I came to the law firm, and now hearing the full extent of that story, which I haven't heard before, I understand where those lessons came from. So thank you for that.
I only get honest with this room.
I know this room is amazing, but for me, it's been that my life has become relatively public. And so my wife was not comfortable with that at all because she's an elementary school art teacher. She's amazing, but her kids are starting.
Could she do this?
She can do. You know what?
No.
Austin, that was a great job.
Thank you. That doesn't answer the question, though.
But,
the answer is no, Noah.
and so-
this is a masterpiece.
So
Thank
what
you.
has happened is that her kids have started to find our photos all over the internet, which she didn't necessarily want to make public. So
Yeah. It's hard to keep that stuff private.
yeah. So.
Anything else? Got literally 8 minutes left. I'll do the real time. It's almost 12:30. Haha.
Burning questions.
Hashtag real time.
Going once, twice. Thank you so much for
No,
coming
we're
to-
not-
No, we're
no,
not done
we're not
yet. He had
ending.
another segment.
Noah, not your podcast.
I know. I was trying.
I'm being respectful.
The last thing is I want you to name things, just like word, like any word, and then I want Austin to define it.
Ooh.
Because this is a fun thing we do on the podcast. Because Austin doesn't know anything. He truly has never seen a movie.
I
or
think
a show.
sometimes
I don't know to not be
he knows
friends with
something.
That's real.
Yeah.
Me specifically?
Yeah, have him describe something.
Ooh, you're putting me on the spot.
Ooh, it's
Should
yeah,
this
it's
should
a-
be a legal term?
It's an improv
No.
exercise. No, like we did basketball before. Is
Yeah.
that one?
Yeah.
Right. But it has
no,
to be
don't
something.
do basketball. Do
It's like we did it before. It's an example. It can be used to provide further inspiration. I'm buying time for you. But
How is pizza made?
they take the stuff that you make. They take the white stuff and they put it on the thing.
Dough?
Yeah, sure. The dough,
you meant
right?
sauce, 'cause
No,
it's
no,
white
no,
pizza.
that's not the white stuff. I guess it could be if it's that
The
other kind
white
of pizza.
stuff.
Yeah,
Austin.
what's it called?
Why don't you clarify
Anyway,
that?
so you have tomato sauce. It's good. You put some things in it that make it taste better. They're like some salt. You put lots of salt in it, and you put more salt in it.
No, I was just kidding. This isn't going to eat up to 5 minutes. All right, we love you all. Thank you for coming. For real, thanks for coming out, guys. Sunday morning's hard at MAGFest, I know. So
Don't
sober
forget
up.
to say where they can find us because you forget that at the end of
Don't
every
do that.
episode.
Don't follow us.
All right. You can find Morrison on Twitter at Morrison or his law firm's
I
Morrison
wonder if
Hoffman
no one
LLP.
knows mine.
It's Robot Congress.
He doesn't because he
Robot
put it
Austin.
on that thing wrong.
Did I really?
Yeah.
Oh, whoops.
He put at Robot Congress.
That's not even
which
right.
Isn't the show's Twitter or Austin's?
You
It's
can
Robot
follow.
Austin.
You can follow us at robot_Congress. You can follow me at Robot Austin. I usually talk about tabletop RPG things because that's my life.
Austin's Twitter is him tweeting at celebrities he wants to notice him.
Yeah.
No,
and
no, I also have
sometimes
rules
they
questions.
might.
And Jordan, where are you on the internet?
I'm just on Twitter at NeverJordan, and I don't do anything. You can look at my likes. That's about what.
Cool. And you can find me on Twitter at MyLawyerFriend.
Right, and everyone can have a copy of a Pikamu.
Right, you got to make the copy.
Hey,
though.
Noah, I want to say one thing with in regards to your answer about your question about like how does anybody get into it. I want to say that like from someone on the outside,
Yeah.
kind of delving into anything that you're not trained in is always going to be scary, and you're always going to feel like you're alone in whatever you're trying to do. But I think essentially, you'll find the Noahs and the Ryans and maybe the Austins out there. Asking an expert seems like a really big, scary step, but it sounds like usually that's the right way to go, is you call these guys, you email these guys. If it's a doctor, if it's whatever, but I think legal stuff in particular comes off as pretty scary to people who haven't been trained in it. So I think that's what I would do. I would ask one of you guys, or I would, send someone an email or not go to LegalZoom.
Yeah, and people are always happy to talk. It's 2020, Jesus.
Yeah.
All right. Love you all.
Yeah,
Thank you so
2020.
much.